being a British citizen?
Britain, yeah.
Britain?
British.
The government citizens.
In the United Kingdom.
Citizenship.
And teach them. You learn it.
For teaching citizenship.
On the curriculum.
We do citizenship within the school.
So I've taught it, having a strong moral compass and having good integrity. Trying to contribute to society in some way. As long as you're sort of trying to do that and you're like treating people well, I think you're kind of being a sort of decent citizen, really. So it's not too much of a challenge to actually teach it. I think the broader challenge is it can't just be, you know, one period of Fortnight for them to learn how to be a real citizen. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh.
That's a really difficult question.
It's good actually. I mean,
I don't know. Quite proud to be British.
Minimum wages.
It's a free country.
And free trade, isn't it?
I am free to shop. Freedom of speech.
Benefits and healthcare.
Vaguely speaking, it means being a participant in a country.
It's free travel. I can travel anywhere in Europe, yes.
Liberty.
Free movement of people.
What it means to, you know, be politically involved.
Cheap flights across Europe.
I think people do get involved.
I go to Spain, I go to France, I go to Italy.
it's a big society.
Well, everybody's got something that they can contribute.
You know, they want people to be more active.
How you act within a community, what your roles are.
Yeah, but if you get a chance to actually talk to some students about it, because they'll have a good sense of it as well.
Yeah, I think it is. We don't have a lot of knowledge.
At all. Yeah, I hardly know anything. I know some points, like system and stuff, but
Like just the basic stuff.
we don't know. They don't make us go in depth with what we need to know about like the EU and being part of the British.
And they don't make it important that we need to know it.
It's one of those things that we'd like to learn more about, but in this like the way we've been growing up, it's not really much of a big deal to know much about the government.
Something they really put emphasis on. They don't really care if you know that.
Yeah.
Like, if we had learned more and we'd had more knowledge about like government and citizenship, then people would be more interested in it. And like if we'd had learned, like if it's more, like if they make it like a priority in school and like something that's important, then I think that people would get interested in it, and then when they're older they would probably like develop it and then take it more seriously and like have their say.
They started teaching citizenship or the concept of it in English schools after I'd finished, or I never had an education on the concept of citizenship.
So, yeah, like at school we just weren't really taught. It wasn't really something that was like on the curriculum or discussed in any way. And like, I don't know, it was never really something that was a part of my consciousness. This idea that you're a citizen and you have responsibilities as a part of that in terms of like the running of the state.
So, in terms of first-hand, you know, as my own schooling, I've not had an experience of it. My knowledge of citizenship, teaching it, is that I've taught it years I've been here. My first and third years I've taught it, and I like the idea of it in terms of ensuring that students know just the basic things about society and how to be a year citizen and how to engage with it. So they have to raise awareness, so that's one part of the coursework, which is 30%, and they're raising awareness. I mean, as well as being a good idea, they are very keen on. I mean, they like the idea of having some ownership over projects. So I mean, that's the kind of coursework side of it. The exam is more just testing their sort of knowledge of what they studied about the structure of, you know, Britain.
And do you actually, when you learn it, do you like actually proper learn it, or do you just learn the things that you need to know for your exam?
We learn the things you need to know for the exam, so we pass and then we get our grade.
Yeah.
That's what we know. But sometimes when we do learn it, we have like discussions between like all like the other students in the class, like, oh, which voting system do you think is right, or what, who would you choose to run the government?
But I think, unfortunately, by making it compulsory in some ways and by not ensuring it's incredibly well taught, there are also problems with the subject nationally.
When we learn about like government or political movement or something like that. We don't go into depth with it. We just kind of go, oh, is that what happens? Is that what voting system we have? You don't think, oh, is it going to affect us in the future?
Yeah, and then in a way that kind of like harms you in such a way that you're not too sure what exactly you're putting your trust into when you vote or something.
Right.
So it's kind of like a big issue.
The government does something and you just listen to what they say, but you don't really change the way you do anything, you just let them do what they want.
The government are just kind of throwing ideas out, and then when people say, no, we don't like this, and then they say, all right, we won't do it. You know, that's the impression I get at the moment, you know.
Don't have any political beliefs in any way, which I suppose in some respects is quite bad, because I just go with whatever is there.
I guess like in the UK, like there's a real political apathy for like most people. We have this sort of system that's predominantly like bi-party politics. We've got like the Labour Party and like the Tory Party, and people that support Labour or like slightly more leftist always vote Labour, because if you don't vote Labour then the Tories might get in. If you're like a Conservative you always vote Tory because the Labour Party might get in. And like for most people in the UK that's politics. Like it usually is decided by where you were born or who your parents were, and that's like who you vote for.
I know some stuff because like my parents tell me and stuff like that, but then they don't really tell me that much because I don't really talk to them about that. I don't show an interest, so they don't really bother.
My ideas of like identity came from my religion and from my parents' religion. Like citizenship can kind of allude to like, you know, identity and like almost like what your loyalties are, what your roots are. So mine definitely didn't come from any idea of being British.
And so I guess I formed like who I am and like this sort of set of responsibilities that I give myself and like duties from just like my understanding and interpretation of the world as it is.
I mean, it is important, but I think it kind of comes back to quite a big sort of, you know, almost debate, but in education of, you know, how much do you want them to be constructing their own ideas? I mean, like constructivism in I think in schools is actually very good. You know, it's one thing that actually that the students take more ownership, enjoyment if they're constructing what it means to them. I think it would be good if we could actually, if there was more of a, sort of interrelationship, or it was quite symbiotic. You know, how we work together in school with staff and students to actually decide or discuss at least what it means. I mean, to be a citizen and to be a citizen of actually our school or community or, you know, Britain or the wider world.
I think that the government should make it important for all schools to learn about that, like to make it like a priority in every school, so that, because that's the only way, because even if it was up to the school, I doubt loads of schools would do it, but if it was like a law, then I think that would be the best, because then it was like compulsory. And I think that they should do more to encourage like young people too, because young people wouldn't really just have like a sudden interest in it, like, but if people like encouraged them, did more stuff like advertise them and like learn it in school, get people into school and stuff like that, like on school trips and stuff like that, then people would like feel more interested and feel more part of the country.
We do a great job as communities of helping out one another, and I think it's about saying, well, how about trying to tap into that resource that we've got inside all the time, and trying to encourage people to think, well, everybody's got something that they can contribute. What might it be for me?
If you know what's going on in the country, then you feel more part of it. Then if you don't know, then you feel like, oh, I don't know what's going on, so I don't feel kind of part of being British.
It can't just be, you know, one period of Fortnight for them to learn how to be a real citizen. You know what I mean? It has to be. I think it should actually be part of all lessons in some ways. I mean, it's funny how you have people always arguing about this. You know, what has the actually a biggest effect on the students? Is it, you know, is it their sort of genes? Is it the way they're brought up at school? Is it the way that they're brought up in the home, or the way that they're brought up in the community? I think, I mean, I'm sure like anyone, you know, that you say it's a bit of everything really, with a varying degree of which has a big impact. parents, perhaps not actually providing them with as much sort of support and knowledge as they need, or actually us doing that as well in the school. So it has to be coming at all ways, because if you think about how much time they spend in school, and then often how much time they spend with their parents, they need to have more time spent in environments where they can actually learn what it means to be responsible and to be a sort of citizen, really.